we are talking about vitamin D. We're going to be discussing why we need it, how we get it, and the differences between D3 and D2. And we'll get all into that tonight as well. All right, so if we've not met before, my name is Tiffany Hinton, and I'm a best-selling cookbook author. I write cookbooks that are gluten-free and allergy-friendly for the kids with food allergies or the celiac community. Business owner, I'm a super mom. I've got 3 girls, and we had 3 girls in under 3 years. And then I'm a gluten-free lifestyle expert and a coach, and we've been doing our most recent coaching this year around gut healing and getting rid of inflammation and helping you get your autoimmune diseases into remission. I'm going to just kind of skip through a lot of this stuff. A lot of this I cover in my basic gluten-free training, but I had a lot of symptoms growing up before I was diagnosed with celiac disease, and it took us 14 years of constantly going to the doctor to finally figure out that I was positive for celiac antibodies. I went gluten-free, dairy-free, and sugar-free for about 9 months, and then I was treated for infertility, and then we ended up having 3 kids in 3 years. So originally I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which we know is a disease of symptoms. It's not the actual cause. And then I have real diagnosis, and I am also a DQ2 carrier. So like I said, I want to flip through all that. These are my girls, Frankie, Lily, and Josie. They all have multiple food allergies. Liliana's on the back of the tricycle, and she's one of the main reasons that, besides myself, that we do a lot of gut healing in our home. She's diagnosed with non-celiac gluten sensitivity. In reality, she has all of the gastrointestinal stuff for celiac disease. She did not test positive for a DQ2 or DQ8, so she does not carry a celiac diagnosis yet. But the non-celiac gluten sensitivity is now recognized as an autoimmune disease. It just means that the gluten kind of affects everywhere else in your body. She's also diagnosed with Crohn's disease and has a lot of other gastro issues. All right, so let's get right into the details because I have a lot to cover tonight, and I want to be able to make sure we get through all the information. So why vitamin D, right? And what happens if your vitamin D is not where it should be, right? What happens if you're low in vitamin D? So you have sleep issues, you've got headaches, you've got chronic pain, you can have tremors, balance difficulties, dizziness, depression, memory loss, and stroke, which I know stroke is like major end. But there's a lot that can happen when you're deficient on the vitamin D. A lot of times we think depression, we think, mood swings, or we think if you're low on vitamin D, maybe it affects your memory, right? But we don't always think about all the other things that can happen when your body is deficient in vitamin D. Vitamin D is actually not a vitamin, which is kind of interesting, right? We've been taught to say vitamin D. We've been taught that vitamin D is that bone vitamin, right? It goes along with calcium and it helps us. But in reality, it's more of a sun hormone. The word vitamin D, or the word vitamin, means something the body needs that it can't make. Although we make the D hormone. We don't get it from food. Our body is actually engineered that it makes this chemical so that we need, and we actually make it from sun exposure. It's like any other hormone that your thyroid needs or your estrogen levels or your testosterone, right? You still need this D hormone. It's just that it's been labeled vitamin D because you can get it from a supplement. But in reality, the best way to get it is from sun exposure. Is it essential? It is essential to every cell in our body, and it's not in food, like I just mentioned. It is supplemented in milk in America, but you would actually need a cup of milk only has 100 units of vitamin D. You would need to be drinking 100 cups of milk a day to get enough vitamin D to keep you from being deficient. So there's a much easier way to do it than to drink whole milk that's been, infused with vitamin D, because there's no way you're drinking 100 cups of milk a day. And if you are, you're running to the bathroom, I'm sure, many, many times. So why we make our hormones from sun exposure, right? Let's talk a little bit about the science behind how it works. The D hormone is unique among our hormones because we make it from our skin from a specific wavelength of light, and it's the UVB that you get from sun. When you put on sunblock or you put on sunscreen, you're not getting the UVB And so you're going to be deficient. So I'm one of those parents that send my kids out in the summer without sunscreen. And then once they start to get a little bit of pink, then I put the sunscreen on because I know that at that point, their body has started to make the vitamin D that they need. And we would do this all the time. I do it for myself as well. I don't apply sunscreen before going outside. I wait until I'm outside 20 to 30 minutes if I'm going to be out for a while. Then I apply the sunscreen. It's so important that you make the vitamin D the correct way in order for your body to get it and to be able to store it. The D hormone affects our weight and our appetite. In the winter, there's no UVB light, so we use the vitamin D that we made and we stored throughout the summer. And as it gets used up, the blood level starts to fall. And that's where you become deficient. And the other way you're deficient is you put the sunblock on or the sunscreen on ahead of time, and you don't allow it to actually be made. The low D message is, right? So what does your body do when it's starting to be low on vitamin D? Your body will sleep longer. Your body's going to start storing fat for spring, right? We go into hibernation just like a bear. It is what it is. And so during the winter months, when your vitamin D starts to become lower, you may start to see that you're starting to retain a little bit of weight, or that you aren't wanting to wake up when your alarm goes off, or you're needing to go to bed earlier, or you need a nap. As the D levels fall, the thyroid hormone also goes down. We survive the winter by sleeping more hours and using less energy, and then the thyroid hormone compensates until we can get back out in the sun. So it is important, if it's a sunny day in the winter, to get outside as well. Low D goofed up our sleep, and that is so true. Most of your neurological problems, and it says my patients, this is talking about Dr. Mark Hyman, have not directly, your neurological problems are not directly related to the D hormone. They are in fact the D hormone deficiency that's causing the sleep disorders. And they're not neurological disorders. So your insomnia, your sleep apnea, your REM-related apnea, or unexplained wakings when you have light sleep, or any inappropriate body movements during sleep. A lot of that has nothing to do with your neurological system. It's not because you have restless leg syndrome or anything like that. It has to do with you being deficient in vitamin D. And all of these disorders help keep us from healing ourselves as well, because you need good sleep to heal your body. Your body needs, a good 6 to 8 hour stretch in order for the healing process and the cells to start to regenerate correctly. What does D hormone deficiency look like? Now we're going to get into some of what does the deficiency look like and what does it cause? The D hormone affects the entire GI tract. There are D receptors in our saliva glands, our teeth, our esophagus, sphincters, and our stomach cells that make acid. When the stomach sphincters are weak, the acid moves up into the esophagus and we get acid reflux. So again, I hear a lot of people that I work with say, I have acid reflux, I can't eat spicy food. Well, in reality, we should be checking their vitamin D levels and seeing if they're high or if they're low or if they're even maintaining where they should be maintaining, because acid reflux is a sign of vitamin D deficiency. Low D hormone causes diabetes. This is, again, scientifically proven. There's several medical case studies here. We're not making this stuff up. The D we make in our skin goes to the liver, then into the bile. That keeps the bile acid dissolved, preventing the gallstones from forming. So a lot of people end up with gallbladder stones, or they end up with poop that's not the right color because your bile is the thing that makes your poop brown. Because there are D receptors in their cells of the pancreas that make the insulin, this is why it gets to be diabetes, right? The cells of the pancreas that make the insulin are not getting enough D to contribute to and then it contributes into diabetes. So it's like this whole circle. You're low in vitamin D, your liver doesn't get what it needs, so then the bile doesn't work the way the bile's supposed to. And when your bile's not working, then your pancreas is off as well, because all three of those organs need to work together and they need to function correctly. That's like the same thing when your liver gets toxic. A lot of times your bile is not being produced correctly because your liver enzymes are off, and then you will also end up with pancreatic issues. So you can, on the far end of the spectrum, develop diabetes just from being vitamin D deficient because your other organs aren't working correctly and there's no way for you to produce the insulin you need. And so you're either overproducing or you're insulin deficient. Your low D hormone can cause IBS as well, irritable bowel syndrome. And a lot of people think that they've been diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. Irritable bowel syndrome is not the disease. Irritable bowel syndrome is the symptom. And a lot of times irritable bowel syndrome is actually caused by leaky gut, right? Or diet or food allergies. But low vitamin D levels are related to poor stomach emptying as well as bloating and constipation, which is then causing the irritable bowel. Irritable bowel may result from losing our happy, helpful bacteria in our lower GI tract. They die off when we don't supply the vitamin D the bacteria need to survive. And we all know we should be taking probiotics so that we continue to maintain that good, healthy gut bacteria. But again, that good bacteria also needs things to feed it. And you can't just feed it sugar because then the bad bacteria start to grow. Because those same colonic bacteria supply 7/8 of the vitamin D that we need in our body, some of the patients that have vitamin D deficiencies will also have a secondary vitamin B deficiency because the vitamin B basically comes from the bacteria's poop, which I know sounds disgusting, but it is what it is. Your low D hormone causes autoimmune diseases. And this is so true. So your D hormone receptors on the red and the white blood cells is where they're at. And then when the white blood cells don't have enough vitamin D, they get confused and they start to attack our body by mistake. All of your autoimmune diseases, including multiple sclerosis, your lupus, your rheumatoid arthritis, your psoriasis of the skin, your ulcerative colitis, can be related to low D hormone. And when you increase your vitamin D and your vitamin D gets up to where it's supposed to be, and we're going to talk about where the level should be, then a lot of the symptoms that you're having around your autoimmune diseases will start to subside. You'll start to see a decrease in pain. You'll see a decrease, in the inflammation because your gut's getting what it needs and your gut bacteria is processing everything and getting it out of your gut and you're not having that toxic buildup. The low D hormone can also cause cancer. And while our own white blood cells travel through our body at night seeking out and killing cancer cells, this is what everybody's body does, if you don't have enough vitamin D, your white blood cells aren't working the way they're supposed to be, right? So it increases the chances of breast, colon, prostate cancer. And women with breast cancer who are told that they can't make hormones, meaning estrogen, should still take a vitamin D hormone. If you're told you can't take hormones because it will increase your chance of breast cancer, or you're a breast cancer survivor and your cancer was estrogen feeding, you still have to take a vitamin D hormone pill because without the D, your body can't fight any cancer that could come back. The right D level, in addition to normal sleeping, helps your own immune system fight your cancer as well. It'll keep it away, it'll keep it in remission, or if you're actively going through cancer treatment, it will help there as well. So you do need to be taking vitamin D, and you need to be taking a high enough dosage so that your body starts to restore what it's missing. And if you work with me at all, you know that we have a vitamin D protocol that's been given to us by integrated functional medicine doctor. But basically the protocol says that you need to be taking 25,000 units for 1 week, and then the secondary week you take 15,000 units, and then for week 3 and week 4 you take 10,000 units. This is to build up your store of vitamin D. And then after that, you would need to maintain 5,000 units of vitamin D a day until your vitamin D is back at its regular level. And regular means 75 is your goal, which we'll talk about this. I'm trying to jumping ahead. But if your vitamin D is not at a 75, then you need to be taking additional supplements to get it back up. The interesting thing about this same doctor that gave me this protocol to be using, the integrated functional medicine doctor, she told me that she's never seen a patient with a vitamin D level of 75 or higher ever be diagnosed with cancer, which I thought was kind of cool. It's kind of like a target for people that never want to have cancer. Like, well, I'll never get it because my vitamin D will always be this high, right? And you have like this target that you need to maintain. So, kind of like I said, I jumped ahead, but I knew this was coming. So what should your vitamin D level be? How much would your body make normally in the sun? When we sit in the sun at noon with our chest and our face and our arms exposed, you make around 10,000 units of vitamin D. And that takes if it's high noon and you sit there for 20 to 30 minutes, you're going to get your 10,000 units, right? If you sit there with your whole body exposed, so you're sitting out in your swimsuit or your swim trunks, and you sit for 2 to 4 hours and you're sunbathing, which we used to all do this, right? And then people got scared and they thought they were going to get skin cancer. Well, in reality, if your vitamin D is high enough, you can't get skin cancer. And then your body would be producing 20,000 units a day. And that's even better when you're trying to rebuild your vitamin D. You could take a vitamin D supplement and you can get out there and get the sun exposure so that you're starting to recoup and store up what you need to get you through the winter. What about your skin color? I hear this a lot from my husband, and a lot of you know my husband is African American. The rate of production of vitamin D is dependent on your skin. It is true. The darker skinned people make vitamin D slower for equal time spent in the sun. So if you are Caucasian, the rule of thumb is as soon as your skin starts to look pink, not burnt, but pink, then you know you've made enough vitamin D for the day. But when you have darker skin, you can't necessarily tell that your skin is turning pink, right? You can't necessarily tell that you've made enough. So my rule of thumb that I always tell my sister-in-law and my husband is, well, when you start to feel warm and your body actually feels warm inside, not just to the touch, then your body is starting to make your vitamin D. Because we don't have fur or feathers covering our skin, our melanin coloration in our skin keeps us from making too much vitamin D. So you'll never get way too much in your system if you're making your vitamin D naturally. You can get too much if you're taking a supplement, and that's why you never want to take, 50,000 units in a day. Your body can't do anything with that. That's way too much for it to even process. It's going to either try to store it somewhere and try to figure out what to do with it later, or it's just going to flush it straight out and you're going to end up secreting it, right? So you have to do it over time because your body has to process it and it has to be able to store it in the cells. Proper levels. As most of us don't receive sun D every day, our supplementary vitamin D requirements are much higher than FDA recommends. The FDA says you need 800 units of D a day, but in reality, we know we need 10,000 units a day to get us through a year. So in reality, closely, you need to be taking, like I said earlier, if you have a vitamin D level that is normal and you're 70 to 80 vitamin D, right, when you have your blood test done, then you need to be taking about 5,000 units a day or getting 10,000 units of vitamin D from the sun every single day. Not 800. 800 will make you deficient and will give the pharmaceutical companies something to sell you. All right, so proper levels to sleep. So if your vitamin D is low, again, we said it would interrupt your sleep. It would cause you to have sleep issues, apnea, and all that stuff. To sleep, normally your vitamin D must be between a 60 and an 80. If you guys that are on the phone know what your vitamin D level is, I'd love for you to type that in the chat so we can kind of have a comparison on where people's vitamin D levels are that are currently on the phone. And then we can kind of talk about maybe at the end ways that we can increase our vitamin D. If you're one of my current coaching clients, you know I encourage you to get outside every day for 20 minutes. And this is one of the reasons. I know that we need our vitamin D. And if you get out and you walk your dog or you go out and you read your book or you do your devotions while you're out on your balcony, you're going to get your vitamin D that you need. Or you're out gardening or whatever it is, do your yoga outside during the summer, things like that, so you get your vitamin D. I like to go outside and journal, or I like to go outside and sit in a tank top and read, right, over my lunch hour or eat lunch outside, because then I know I'm getting at least 20 minutes. I'm having mindful eating because I'm eating outdoors with nature without interruption or disruption. And I'm also getting my vitamin D. So it's like multitasking for the body. All right, vitamin D level testing. There's testing that needs to be done, and you need to have the correct kind of test. The vitamin B25OH that we measure in the blood is to measure the stored vitamin D, and that's the test that you should be having, okay? We make the active chemical D125OH every minute of every day. Now, your doctor a lot of times will measure the D25OH but not measure the D125OH. You actually need to have both of these tests ran because you need to know how much you're storing, but you also need to know what you're manufacturing and what's active in your body, okay? And my husband's primary care doctor ran. I love this. It was wonderful. She's a great doctor. She really is. She just sometimes makes me laugh. So she ran the vitamin D25OH, but didn't run the D1, right? And then his vitamin D was low, which it normally is. and she prescribed him D2, and you'll find out in a minute why you don't want to prescribe D2. And I was like, don't go fill that prescription. Second, first of all, let's get you on a D3 supplement, and then I want you to request this additional blood test because we need to know what both of the D numbers are. You want to ask your doctor to measure your vitamin D25OH level, not just your 1 level, right? And most doctors don't know what the normal D level should be. So then you want to ask for your numbers, and you want to be looking for a number between 60 and 80. And I told you our target is 75. You want to try to get your vitamin D level up to a 75. My vitamin D tends to stay in the 70s. I try to get my vitamin D levels checked every 3 months because I know that I run deficient in vitamins based on my autoimmune diseases and based on my gut not always absorbing stuff. But I have seen my D levels come back in the high 80s during the summer months, which is cool because I do try to get outside at least 6 days a week. So you need to be asking your doctor to run the specific test for vitamin D25OH, and then you need to be checking your numbers, either if you can log in and see your lab results, or asking them to email you your lab results so that you know where your number is specifically. Most people take a daily supplement of D dosage, like I said before, and they take 1 5,000 unit per day in the summer, and then this is kind of what you can do, right, to get your D levels up. If your D comes back and your vitamin D is like 9, and this happened to somebody recently I was talking to, then you need to be doing the 25,000 units a day, and then the 15,000 units. This is for a week, and then do the 10,000 units for the next 2 weeks, and then go to 5,000 units. But what the Cleveland Clinic is recommending is that you take, during the summer, 1 unit, 5,000 units, 1 pill a day during the summer, and then take 7,000 units a day in the winter, between 5 and 7,000, okay? If your vitamin D level is 30 or below and it's winter, you're going to want to take the 10 to 15 like we were just talking about for 2 to 3 weeks to get your levels back up above 50 rapidly, and then you can go back into the maintained state of taking between the 5 and the 7,000 units. And then if your level comes in below 30, you need to have your blood work checked. They suggest in 4 weeks. A lot of doctors won't do a blood test every 4 weeks, but you can have it checked normally within 6 weeks to 3 months. And you want to have that checked right away because you don't want your vitamin D to stay down. If it stays down, you're at a higher risk for your autoimmune diseases to come back. You're at a higher risk for, if you are precancerous, for it to develop into cancer. You're at a lot higher risk for a lot of things. So what kind of D? Doctors have been incorrectly taught that it's safe to give people vitamin D2 as a once-a-week pill of 50,000 units. And we just talked about this. You can't take 50,000 units. Your body can't do anything with that. And then you also don't want to be taking D2. It's not the same as a D3, and it may be dangerous for some people. It can cause them to get rickets. It can cause, toxicity to build up in the body, and it can cause liver failure in some instances. It's not safe. So if they write you a prescription, you need to make sure it's for D3. Otherwise, just go get an over-the-counter vitamin D3. D2 is dangerous. In fact, here you go. Here's the stats behind that, right? The majority of people felt like they had worse sleep and worse headaches. So make sure you're getting D3. D2 is a chemical that's made by fungus that grows on grain. This is how they're manufacturing it. And D2 is similar but not identical. And that is why you and I, as people, and all other animals, need to be making our D3 from our skin from sun exposure like we were made to do. Our bodies are made to heal themselves. We just need to take advantage of it and put it to use and not think that, we can take a pill for everything that comes along. D3 is where it's at. It really is. So I have homework for you coming off of this webinar. And if you're one of our regular people in our group, you know that we love to hand out homework once a week. Your homework coming off of this webinar, if you don't know what your vitamin D number is, I want you to go get it tested. If you have insurance, this is like a $30 test. If you don't have insurance, there's a lot of labs that will draw this for $50 and you can get it tested. But you want to make sure you get your D tested, and you want to make sure that you're specifically asking for a D25OH level so that they order the right blood panel when they order the test, and you want to make sure you ask to have your results emailed to you or sent to you so that you can see them. So that's your homework. You have a pin, make sure you write that down. You want to get your D25OH. We are recording this webinar though, so there will be a replay I can email out to people as well. All right, so I know that was a lot of information. I am going to do Q&A. before I do Q&A, we actually covered quite a bit in 30 minutes. Wow. I want to tell you about a few things we have coming up. So we have coming up next week on Wednesday, the 5 Steps to Healing Your Inflammation webinar. This is where we talk about the steps to get your leaky gut back in order, to get your inflammation pain from your RA or from, maybe you've got bad knees or bad joints or you're bloated or you've got acid reflux. We actually have 5 steps that you can put into place. They don't cost you a lot of money. And you'll start to feel your inflammation heal. The cool thing is with this inflammation healing webinar, we actually do a 5-day challenge week where you get to put those 5 steps into place. And we support you along the way. We give you the menu to do it. We give you all the information and we give you the accountability to see if you can actually do it in 5 days. It gives you a chance to challenge yourself and to set that pattern up and that new habit so you can continue to heal your inflammation. I will be live in Indianapolis at the end of October, the 29th and 30th at the GFSA Festival, and that's sponsored by Gluten Free and More magazine. And I'm cooking donuts in Indianapolis, so if you want to come get a gluten-free donut, we'll be doing that Saturday morning and again on Sunday morning there at the Indianapolis State Fairgrounds. If you know somebody in Indianapolis, I'd love for you to send them out to the event. I'll have coupon codes that I can share, and they can get discounted tickets as well. And if you want those, you can message me and I'll send them to you. And then in November, we're going to be in Phoenix doing a cross-contamination class at the GFAF Expo. So if you know anybody in the out west, this is a great time for them to come out and get information and at the Gluten Free and Allergy Friendly Expo and learn about cross-contamination. So it's not always about yourself. We are all about sharing and being an advocate and helping our community. All right, so like I was mentioning, I'd love for you to join us next week. We're going to do we have 5 days that we're going to do to get it started coming off of the inflammation webinars, like the 5 Steps to Healing Inflammation. We actually have a challenge week. It's a 5-day week that we're going to get it started. It gives you a chance to work with me without paying and to get your inflammation kind of kicked in the booty and get it on track. Expectations that come off of our 5 days, and these are things that you can expect. These are things we hear from testimonials from people that have been doing this with us for the year. You're going to have more energy. You may have more mobility if you're limited in your joints. Less abdominal complaints, improved blood sugar, improved blood pressure, weight loss, and a lot of people, their headaches go away. It's amazing. It's really your choice whether you want to do it or not. I'm going to tell you to do it. Go for it, right? Come be a rock star with us. You can continue to try to mask your pain and live with it, but you can also grow bitter and feel like you're alone out there. Or you can take the step toward healing, begin to trust and believe that maybe, just maybe, there's somebody in your life who can and will speak to you those healing words and say, me too, I'm in, I've been there, I'll do it with you. And that's what we do. So I'd love for you to join us next Wednesday on that next webinar so we can start you in that healing process if you're ready to go there. We do the webinar and then we say, join us for the 5-day challenge to begin your journey and your restoration, right? And you come make it real. You come take those 5 steps and you really put them into practice. What I can tell you right now is you can sign up for the 5 Steps to Healing Your Inflammation webinar. That went out in an email you probably got earlier this week. If not, you can sign up for that over on our website. And then after you do that, you'll get an email back the next day and then they'll say, hey, join the challenge. And you can already sign up for the challenge. We're getting all of that set to go. And we're building our little challenge group already. So don't feel like you have to wait to do that. All right. Benefits of the challenge week, right? You get an online community for the week. You get your accountability. You get a menu for the 5 days of the challenge. You get your grocery shopping list. I give you all the recipes. You don't have to figure out what you're doing with the food. We tell you that. Encouragement, and then you get daily educational emails as we go through the week. Let's see here. What does this say? Click the link in your email to join the challenge and to join the webinar, which we just talked about. And I'd love for you to do this tonight before you leave your computer. Like, go back, find that email I sent you, and go ahead and sign up for the inflammation healing webinar as well. Tons of education there, and then that would get you on the challenge week. All right. If you are looking for, this is tons of stuff we're covering, but it's all good stuff. Coupons, special events, partner discounts, free recipes, stuff like that. You go over to mom-certified.com, you can sign up for that stuff. And if you're looking for mom-certified products, your local bookstore can order anything. We're in a lot of local libraries, and your grocery store can also order books if you need them. Okay, I'm going to click out of here for a minute. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go back to the Q&A section. So if you have questions, what I would love for you to do is type them in the chat box, and I'm going to scroll back up to the top of the chat box and start answering questions. Karen didn't see anything. Uh-oh. Please tell me you guys eventually got to see the slides. That'll be interesting, I hope. 24 vitamin D level. Okay, the test is a D25OH is what you're looking for. So D25OH. You never saw the slide. All right, that's not good. Not good at all. All right. Guys, I am so sorry. I don't know why you never saw the slide. I will email out the slides in PDF so you guys can reread the slides. I can definitely do that since you got no slides. That's so weird. Sorry about that. Are there other questions related to vitamin D? I know we talked about how you need to get it from the sun primarily, but if you're not getting it from the sun, then you can get it from a D3 supplement. If you're looking for a D3 supplement, there is a great company that I can recommend over to you that actually gives you the correct D3, and it's got 5,000 units right in one little pill. And so a 30-day supply is $24.99. So I can definitely get you this. It also has some vitamin K mixed in there, and it's a gel tablet, so it's easier to take. It'll slide down your throat. It's annoying me that you never got to see the slides. I don't know what happened. Okay. Any additional remaining questions? And like I said, I'm going to drop the slides into PDF, and then I'll send them out with an audio of the call. Liquid or tablet form of the D3. I always say tablet because it's easier to take, but if you can get D3 in liquid, go for it. Your body absorbs liquid faster anyway. I like to take my omega in liquid. So if you can get D3 in liquid, I would say take the liquid. That question was from Michelle. The other thing I'll tell you is if you have a Costco membership, currently, if you go over to the physician's desk reference, Costco's vitamin D3 is ranked in the top 5. It won't always be there, but it is this year. So if you want to get, a large quantity for a lower price, you can always go to Costco and get the Maker's Mark brand, because it is ranked up there. I've also used USANA's, and then I'm liking the K2D3, which is the 5,000 units in one single pill. Oh yeah, Karen. Health assessments at people's jobs. That's a great point. Some people can get a health assessment done at their employer, and their health assessment will include a D3 test. Where I work, it did not include a vitamin D test. So it would all depend. Some people too, if you have a corporate job, there is a nurse on staff. And if you go over to the nurse, she may even be able to put in the blood work for you or the order. You don't have to necessarily go to a doctor's office. A lot of times, outpatient places or immediate care can order the D3 test for you as well. I want to make sure we get all the questions answered before we end for the evening. We do one of these educational webinars every month for our focused healing group, which you learn more about the focused healing group during the inflammation webinar that we're having next Wednesday. But we do a different educational topic every single month to give people the knowledge and to give them insight into things that they need to help themselves heal. I'm looking at actually doing an adrenal health one, and having a doctor out of Dallas, Texas come on and speak about adrenals. He's an expert, which I think is so great for people, especially that have hormone issues. To get your adrenals healed the correct way and get them working again. All right. Are there any other questions? Okay, so for those of you on the call, so I see Teresa and Michelle and Karen and Aguilera and some others. like I said, I'll have the audio for the recording tomorrow, and then I will turn the slides into a PDF document so you can look at the slides and read them as you listen to the audio again and get that refresher. And that email will come out tomorrow. So if you check your email throughout the day, you'll find it. If you check it when you get off work tomorrow, it would be sitting in your mailbox. So that will come out tomorrow, and we'll get that sent over to you. Do I have any webinars on Graves' disease? I do not. Let me check with a couple of other people that I know that do some webinars that are integrated functional medicine doctors. And Michelle, if I find one with Graves' disease, I'm going to write this down because I'm going to email Elise when I get off the phone here. I will pass that on to you. And if that's something that you're looking for too, that's something I can always, if Dr. Wagner does it, or if Dr. Greg out of Dallas, who does the adrenal information, if he touches on Graves' disease, either one of those, then I can even invite them on to come and do a webinar on Graves' disease, because personally, I'm not very familiar with it. Confirm the name of the test. Okay. It is D25OH. So O as in octopus, H as in Henry. You're welcome, Michelle. I'll put that in the email too, Michelle, or Karen, tomorrow. I'll put the name of the actual test you want to have, and it's on the slides. So when you get the slides tomorrow, since the slides didn't want to work tonight, you'll get that as well. All right. Great questions tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't want to keep people. I know it's getting late, especially on the East Coast. And if you've got follow-up questions, email me, message me on Facebook. I'll get you answers or get you the resources to get you the answers. And I will follow up on the Graves' disease, and I will, like I said, I'll send you an email tomorrow with the audio and the slides. And then if you'd like to join us next Wednesday night, we're going to talk about 5 steps to heal your inflammation and get you guys started on the healthy habits. And I'll get you that email, Teresa. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.